Welcome to A Lot of Things, the podcast about many things, including great discussions. And I'm going to have a great person to have a great discussion with. And he's here today. His name's Carlos Hattix.
What's up, man? I'm super excited about today's podisode episode.
No, we can just call it a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The kids call it that.
I mean, this is the kids?
Yes.
Shit. What does that mean for us?
It means we're old.
No. I mean, what constitutes a kid? Like
I
someone
don't
in their
know.
20s?
Just someone younger than us. That's all I was going with.
Tell.
Anyways, this is a podcast where we talk about entertainment discussions in a section I call Deep Dive, and you're eating on a podcast, which is great. We have cinnamon rolls, which are, the camera might pick up. There you go.
I apologize. That was not
Rookie mistake.
This is why you're in charge.
Rookie mistake. But we're going to talk about some deep dives, some discussion. Joe Rogan's going to be on the docket, but not really him, more about the concept, about some of the stuff around the conversation around him and his podcast or podisode.
Yep.
And then we're also going to talk about some closing thoughts, which is the new structure for the podcast.
Closing thoughts. So we changed it from the money shot.
Yeah, see, I'm not on board with it.
I see. Is it too salacious?
It reminds me of salacious activity.
I think it only reminds you of salacious activity if you're a pervert.
Perfect way to start an episode of the podcast. Just cut that all out. Let's start off with the That's Entertainment section, which is just things that we're enjoying.
Okay.
Content, like we make content, but other people make content. What's the
Yeah.
stuff that we're watching that we enjoy? I have like 3 things in my mind. Do you have something?
Are we talking about like everywhere, right? Like streaming shows. We're talking about YouTube stuff.
Anything you want.
Like cat videos, stuff like that, right?
If you're watching cat videos,
Well, Euphoria.
But let's talk about Euphoria for a second.
I mean, that's not even giving it justice. It's insane.
Okay, so my main question is, or my main perplexion, I guess, really is what it's about. I don't know who the show's for, and you might have heard that before. I think other people have said the same kind of statement or sentiment,
Right.
because it is graphic. I haven't watched a lot of it, only a couple episodes,
Sure.
but it's intense. It's graphic. It's like a strong drama, but with a lot of sex and like nudity. But it's about teenagers. So it's a weird, awkward juxtaposition.
The main premise is these are high schoolers. The main character, Rue, she's desperately spiraling into addiction. And
Yeah.
So it's really about her addiction and then the things and her friends and stuff that has around. It's like it takes place with like high school age teens and Rue's, and in it, one of the things you notice it covers everything, right? It covers like not what's the word where you're trying, like pansexual, transgender relationships, all kinds of stuff. It covers the gamut, and there's patriarchy in there, there's patricide in there, and I say that from a metaphorical standpoint. There's no positive father figures in this, and the one positive father figure, or the one main father figure, he's a hot mess because he's been hiding who his real self is for his entire life, and he's bitter about it. So he lives in this underground, seedy kind of life where he's meeting people in hotels, motels, and he's got a wife and 2 sons who are very famous, who are very popular in high school and stuff like that. So it covers a lot, and each episode it kind of focuses on different characters. On season 2, and I mean, I get text messages from people all the time. Have you seen this episode?
Yeah.
It's almost like appointment TV now, right? Because each episode gets more and more fucked up.
Right, but is that I just don't know what that's for. I know that, good dramas, I like good dramas, I like intense things.
Sure.
But because it is this almost a kind of a telling of what teens are going through, I'm just wondering who the main audience is for. Is it for them? Is it for teens mainly?
But
you love it.
I'm a 48-year-old man, right? And my other buddy who's 50, he's texted me about it. My daughter's 20. She'll text me about it. I have friends who are in between 24 to 40, whatever. Everyone's texting me about it. Men that I wouldn't think would be watching this. To answer your question, who's this for? When we grew up watching the television shows that we had in the station, this would never be on there.
No way.
Right? But
not even close.
But to think that these characters who are going through what they're going through didn't exist back then would be very naive, right? So transgender teenagers or bisexual or, non-binary, they existed, but there was no space for them, definitely not a show for them.
Right.
So to answer your question, this is for everybody, right? My daughter is in this generation, right? And then my youngest daughter is even like, she's a generation removed from this, but she obviously is not going to be watching the show. But it's going to be there for her when she gets of age, right? And there's going to be probably different shows. So, but the people that are talking to me about it, right? They're all from different, like my buddy who's 51, he's a pilot, he's a mortgage broker entrepreneur, he has a son and a young daughter, and he's texting me about it, right? I have people who, work in, strip clubs or whatever, like they're texting me about it, right? I have a friend has her girlfriend is a transgender trying to go, trying to figure out how to get surgery. Like they're texting me about it.
I get the representation part because I love that. And I loved actually the movie Eighth Grade, which Bo Burnham made. If you've never seen that, it's intense.
No, but I like him. He's
so good.
He's so good.
This is a great movie. You should check it out. But it's basically about what, eighth graders are going through, like even younger, dealing with all the social media and Instagram and bullshit.
Yeah.
Which, again, we didn't have to go through growing up, but they do. I like that representation. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the concept of Euphoria, what they're doing when it comes to, again, like inclusiveness.
Yeah.
And I will, to asterisk that, I would definitely get to watch more Euphoria and we'll talk about it again.
Sure.
And I'm glad you brought it up.
Sure.
So I can make it weird. I'm watching something that I have I'm conflicting thoughts on as well, but I'm really enjoying Pam and Tommy.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Do you have thoughts on it?
Oh, dude, so many
Have
thoughts.
you been watching it?
Yeah, I watched it.
I'm like all caught up.
I watched it with someone who like wasn't familiar with that whole thing, so I had to explain it to the person.
Oh, really? They didn't know the whole history of it.
I go there, I go. Pamela Anderson was an international star. And Tommy Lee was like this kind of like whatever. He was well known back in the '80s, but
Motley Crue is massive.
Yeah, but not at the time of where this was happening. She was a superstar, and he was just some like. Like drummer for like Motley Crue, which is just a very famous '80s man. He made his money on that, but he wasn't as famous as her at that time. And he became more famous because of her. Anyway, so do you want to talk about what this is about?
Yeah, well, you're saying basically, it's about this time period which we grew up in.
Yeah, so for people who don't know who these two characters are,
right? Yeah, Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, Pamela Anderson from modeling first, Playboy, Baywatch. And then a movie, which is in this show, by the way, Barbed Wire, which was
a movie. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, not a great movie. Spoiler. And then a bunch of other stuff later on. But yeah, so this is the time period where they basically had a Hi8 camera, which back then was a top of the line camera, video camera.
Yeah.
And they filmed them having sex and a bunch of stuff with sex stuff. And then,
okay, Grandpa.
Yep.
Sex stuff.
When the two people love each other, Carlos,
dude,
they have sex stuff.
That's funny.
Let me continue.
Go on.
So they had the sex stuff, and they put it on a tape. And so the idea, or what happened in real life, was a guy who was wronged, a construction worker that was working on the house, got mad and stole the tape, and then basically distributed it. And we grew up with it. Like I grew up with early internet and seeing it online.
Yeah.
And then it was also VHS tapes. Yeah. For our younger listeners, that was a cassette tape.
Yeah. And I can't remember if this was before like Paris Hilton's sex tape got out, but definitely.
It was. Totally. Yeah. It's the beginning of the internet.
Yeah. It's also before Kim because it was Paris. Paris is like big.
Way before Kim.
Yeah. Tommy and Pam. This was like huge.
It's the first one. It's like the first big one.
Yeah. Because they put it on the internet, right? Because they couldn't. They're the guys that. So long story short, some people stole this sex tape out of like Tommy Lee's house, out of his big ass like gun safe, stole everything, and then coordinated with some porn director, and then they made a bunch of copies of this, and they were selling it on the black market, I guess, and then they put it on the internet, and no one could really back then kind of like trace it in original. But anyways, this sex tape got out, and there's nothing that they could do about it, and Tommy became extremely like famous and admirable and a hero to a lot of young boys because of his endowment, right? And then Pamela, in the show, gets like the negative part of it. Correct. Yeah. And so we can go a couple different directions with that. Well, before we get to that, let me say how I just think that it's done very well. I think it's done. So it almost feels like so. It's Seth Rogen obviously produced this, and
he's in it.
He's great in it
Yeah,
too.
he's great.
He looks so different too. But here's the thing. I think it almost looks like a made-for-TV movie, like back in the day, right? Because they're not using the highest quality film or video.
But I think that's a choice because it's like from late '80s, early '90s, right?
Yeah, but it makes it look like we can. It makes it look like we can almost see the studio. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you
like
mean.
We can I can almost see that they're filming this in a studio.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're trying, but they're shooting it. The camera work, how they're moving the camera. They're trying to make it like a Michael Bay Basic Instinct thing.
It's a mixture,
but it doesn't capture it with that cheap ass film.
I feel like it does. It's almost like, remember what was that Boogie Nights? It had that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, but Boogie Nights they used better.
They did. It was
much if they did that, it'd be perfect because it looks like a made-for-TV movie, which it is, or a TV show. I thought it was a movie, but it's a show.
It's a show, yeah, with episodes.
So let's talk about the CGI. Let's talk about the character of Tommy Lee.
Before we get to that, let me just finish and say, like, I think it's done well. We can agree to disagree on that. I think it's like, because I wasn't really, again, it's expectations. I wasn't expecting anything from this. Maybe I was expecting more what you're saying. But Seth's acting is so good, I think.
He's good. I mean, the writing's good. And even the guy that plays Tommy.
Oh, that's the guy he's an X-Men. He's the main guy. He's Winter Soldier.
I mean, that guy I didn't realize Tommy was such an asshole.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He conveyed it very well. Like,
especially
and he's an asshole, but he's also like, because I looked at that Tommy as like a joke the entire time. He's like this joke. But the way this guy's playing him, you're like, people are scared of this guy.
Right, but later on, as you've been watching, and these aren't really spoilers, it's like a real thing that happened in real life.
This happened in real life,
I know.
people.
But, like, he's multidimensional. He's not just that insane person because he, like, really...
Maybe that's just how the media portrayed him, and that's how I consumed it.
I love that, the ending of the last episode that's just up right now, with their rage that they show, both of them. It's great. Anyways, I think it's done acting-wise great, I think, especially, I don't know what the woman's name, I feel bad.
Her name's Lily James.
Okay, great.
So they just did a whole thing showing, like, everyone, she doesn't actually look like that. It's prosthetics. Like, they said she goes through 4 hours of makeup. She does like a forehead prosthetic. Yeah, and her eyebrows. Like, it's crazy. You can just everyone YouTube Lily James as Pamela. Yeah, it's basically they have like a award-winning makeup artist. Like, great job.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're watching Pamela in that
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So then at some point, like you said, and speaking of prosthetics, the part that I think they could have just left out of this whole show that feels hokey as shit, in my opinion, is that at some point Tommy Lee talks to his dick.
The penis.
Yeah, and it's like CG dick, and it doesn't need to be in there. Like, there's literally, it takes me out of the whole thing they're doing.
So what Carlos is talking about is in the movie. So one of the main things from the sex tape that everyone got out is like, wow, Tommy Lee is very well endowed, and that's, so you got a lot of props for that. And then, Pamela got slut shamed for it, and that's just how the society created by patriarchy works, right?
Stupid.
So it's horrible. Anyway, so they decided to make in this TV show, Pam and Tommy, his dick CGI. So not just a prosthetic, it's straight CGI. No. And what I mean by that is it's a character. The character talks. So when Tommy decides he wants to marry her, Pamela, after like a day of meeting her or whatever, his penis says to him, like, hey man, let's just enjoy this ride. Let's not like jump about. He's like, no. He's like, you always fall in love with somebody. And he starts naming Denise Richards, Heather Locklear. He's like, nah. So it's like he's having this conversation with his penis.
Yeah.
And his penis is trying to talk him out of it, which is kind of ironic, right? Because usually like you're leading with the penis, right?
That's kind of, it's like the argument with yourself, right?
Yes. And so I agree with you. It's at first I'm like, this is ridiculous. I thought they were just going to do it for a second.
It went on way too long.
And it was like he was like a legit character, and they were having a dialogue.
You don't need it at all, like, right? The whole show doesn't need it.
You don't, and that just goes to. I don't know what I think of it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it doesn't enhance the story in any way, shape, or form. Well, it makes it hokey. You're right.
It makes it hokey, and they could have done that same scene with him looking down
and just talking to it.
Yeah. Like there's many movies that happens.
Yeah.
And also, we as men and also women, there's a reptilian brain thing that we do struggle with.
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to convey, but they didn't need that at all.
Gen Xers are tripping because we growing up always saw female nudity to the max, but never male frontal nudity. But between Euphoria and Tommy Lee,
perfectly placed,
it's all over the place, right? Yeah. And so it's all. And I wonder if it's just a thing that's happening because of like the Me Too movement. And
it's just like, hey, equal representation is.
Yeah.
You got to see a bunch of stuff, so we're going to see some stuff. Whatever. Let's bring it on. I don't care.
I mean, I guess.
I'm just saying I'm not going to be like against it. I just feel like
no, it's
done stupid,
it's apparent times a changing, and I don't think it's wrong. I think it's fine.
You said times a changing?
Yeah, just like you're over there 60s. On that machine there.
Yeah. Listen, kid, times are changing. Sometimes they have the sex when they're younger.
My boss referred to the computer as the machine today. I just died. I started calling her out.
The machine.
Yeah, everyone started laughing. I'm like, anyways, what else? That was good. That was
well, the stuff we're watching.
That was really good.
So what's the other thing that I was watching? I had on my notes, which by the way, I don't have my notes in front of me.
I started The Gilded Age. The Gilded Age. It's basically Downton Abbey in New York.
Oh, it's in HBO. I saw that.
Yeah, the guy that created Downton Abbey basically is just like, let's do it in New York. Mm-mm. So Cynthia Nixon is in it. She's from Sex and the City, right? So she was in Redhead. Dare I say nerdy one? The one that had
I don't know that show.
We just lost a lot of people.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Did we gain some people?
Maybe.
Okay, and then also Christine Robansky. Hilarious. Grabansky.
I don't remember her.
She's been in a lot of shows.
Okay.
That didn't help, I know.
No. Do you like it?
I mean, yeah.
Very convincing. Very convincing for me to check out. Yeah, it's okay. The Gilded Age.
I mean, it's basically like servants and then like the aristocrats. So it's like old money, new money, right? Old money is like the Astors and new money is like Rockefeller and people coming in trying to like, and it's just, it's basically like what the tech industry money is having more impact and infringing upon like the older money that already existed with like oil and all that stuff, right? So tech money is new money. So it's kind of like that, but in the 1880s. And so they have the whole like, servants. So basically he's just doing the same thing, but in America. So
right.
It's like circa, the Statue of Liberty is not there yet,
That's weird.
Well, 1880. Well, it's just her hand, and she's bronze. Remember, because she's made of bronze before like all the. Anyways, it's okay. I should stop talking about it.
Hey, it's another thing people could check out. Yeah. So I think it's interesting. I like period pieces in general, and especially like when life is really full of chaos in 2022. I often, and this actually leads me to the next thing I'm watching. I often go back and watch something from any time in the past. Right? Because that like helps my brain chill out.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about Pam and Tommy, that's another reason why I'm probably watching it. I'm like, remember VHS days? Remember internet just being started with porn? Like, and you had to wait for the screen to go by?
Right.
Like, I remember that stuff. It's almost like, and jump back to the 1800s, jump back to a different time. It's kind of refreshing.
It is. And I think you're right. And also I watch it across like, I watch it with, and having conversations with people who don't remember that time as well as I do, I feel like this historian. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I really do, and I'm explaining. I'm like, dude, this was huge. Like this is like, how, then you have stuff to compare it to, and you're like, you think that's where it started? Well, this is where it started, right?
Which makes it sound like that voice again. Well, you know where it started. It started.
I don't talk like that.
I do.
I'm pretty
on weekends only.
I'm pretty hip.
Let's move on to the thing I was going to say, which is speaking of time periods. On Hulu as well, just like Pam and Tommy.
Do you work for Hulu by chance?
Yeah.
Jesus,
it's my
Disney, ESPN.
I get what's
ABC,
it called? Commission.
Do you?
Yeah.
What's it called? Commission.
It's 15 cents per time I mention it. So here's another 15 cents.
We should have a counter.
Oh, I'm not doing that in post.
That's funny.
It's called Dark Side of the 90s. I think I texted it to you.
I can't contribute to this conversation except to ask questions. So
okay,
what's it about?
It's just a mini doc series, or a real documentary series.
How many episodes?
There's like 7 or 8, and it's on the dark side of different things in the 90s. So one is talk shows when Maury Povich and Jerry Springer and all that stuff.
Jesse Raphael.
Yeah.
Don't forget to mention her.
Well,
wow.
There's a dark part of her in it.
Yeah. Well,
do you know about that?
Sally Jesse Raphael?
On her show, like something really bad happened.
I don't know what happened.
I'll let you watch it.
So how many episodes? 4?
No, I think there's like 6 or 7.
Oh, I'm going to binge it tonight.
It's so good. But the one I'm watching now is on the internet, like Internet 1.0. Ooh. And like early money, pets.com.
I thought you meant it's on the internet.
Nice. It is also on the internet.
That's funny.
But like pets.com, like early marketing.
That's when I started recruiting. When I was recruiting, like 1999, when the .bombs went out of business.
Really?
Yep, it was crazy.
You just gave away your age in the podcast.
I literally told my age earlier.
Oh, I think you did. You're right. Anywho, it's really good. I think you should check it out, and everybody listening should.
I'll check it out, and then I'll talk about it next week or next time.
Let's get into deep dive.
And that doesn't sound dirty to you, but money shot.
Okay, we're going to change deep dive too. We're going to change this whole show. It just means here's the topic part of the discussion.
Oh.
So again, don't have my notes in front of me because I'm a real professional.
Wait, is this the main course?
This is the main course.
All right, let's do this.
Well, that's why I'm saying let's do it.
I'm sorry.
You do have notes. Why do you have notes and I don't?
I mean, I have so.
I'm gonna have to take off my coat for
because
this
these were my ideas, but I mean, I'm getting a little warm, but I want to keep this.
Oh yeah, by the way, what's up with your hoodie?
So me and my buddy, Mapazi, he's an artist. I had this so I always surround myself with people who actually do stuff like yourself and my buddy Pazi. I go, hey, listen, I have this concept. I want to come up with a hoodie, and I have a phrase in my head. It just comes to me, and then he created the logo. So basically, it's like, what is a misogynist? What does he do? What does he not like? He doesn't like women, right? Mm-hmm. So we wanted to create something that was like the inverse of that, and like was like a positive affirmation. And I have, I'm a father of 2 daughters. I'm a mama's boy, and so this is the opposite of it. But I always feel like when people see this on me, they think it's something totally different, right? Right? Like I feel like, but that's what it's about. It's
okay,
basically
it's positive.
It's positive. It's like in this. You read and you hear a lot about like the patriarchy and all that stuff, and then you hear about a lot of misogyny that's happening. And so for me, this is like this represents the opposite of misogyny, right? So
just stand up a little bit because I want to make sure the camera gets at the very bottom of it. Just yeah, like that. Yeah, that's great.
Got it. So yeah, I love all the women, and then we
love all the women.
Yeah, and so we've shopped it around.
It's cool.
Yeah, so it'll be on your website, your t-shirt site soon because I don't have a website.
My t-shirt website? I own a t-shirt website.
Isn't designed by something?
I wish I owned it, but
not
I don't.
Own it, but like
your
Etsy.
Designed by humans.
My bad. Yeah.
What did you say? Designed by.
It's your Etsy.
Yeah, it's kind of. By the way, people check that out. I don't get a commission for that either, but designedbyhumans.com is pretty cool.
Wow, just giving.
I make t-shirts on it. Giving things away for free. So let's talk about Joe Rogan for 2 seconds, but not really specifically Joe Rogan.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
So essentially,
did he do something?
Maybe. So a couple of things came out again. His first, controversy was the fact that he's got this huge platform, and during COVID, he, said a couple of controversial statements. One being, I think, pretty detrimental and bad, which is if you're a young person and you're like 20, you don't need to worry about COVID. Awesome. Right. That's like fucked up information. So obviously that's like just patently like bad to say because we were in the middle of a pandemic. That just sounds like ignorance. And so then there's the whole discussion around like if someone has such a big platform and so many people, do they owe it to society or, their fans or the world at large to be responsible? What does that mean? As in Joe Rogan's defense, it's always been like, I'm just having discussions, man. Mm-hmm. Like I said at the beginning, and he doesn't want to like have any accountability, but he's got 11 million people or whatever it is like listening every week. So
sure.
That's a general question. And then recently, tapes came out from a long time ago.
Tapes.
VHS tapes. Yeah. And it wasn't a sex tape.
8-track.
It was high 8, and it was him saying the N-word. Repeatedly, like a lot. And
not Nutella.
Not Nutella.
Okay.
Although we could just say Nutella for the rest of the episode.
Let's do it.
That's fun.
Let's do it.
Okay, so he said Nutella a lot.
Got it.
But he said it in quotes, and then it's just quoting him, in context when other people were already talking about that word. So he wasn't using it as like a exclamation or something. He was saying like, hey, you mean this word? Blah, blah, blah.
Like one point was he was talking to Quentin Tarantino about his movies, and Tarantino was using that word throughout his movies like it was like passing out M&Ms at a kid's party.
Yeah, which people do, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to call you on that one. I'm like,
I was like, I don't want to say this.
So then, those tapes or again, videos come out. It is a while ago, so there's a secondary question of like, how long do we hold people accountable for their past? Because people do change.
Right.
But the worst thing that came out, which again is from a while ago, but also is something that a person said, so take it with a grain of salt or not. But he said a terrible thing.
What did he say?
About going to a movie theater.
Do you want me to say it?
You should probably say it.
Yeah, I'll say it. All right. So Rogan was on his podcast earlier, pre-Spotify.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. So he's been doing this for like over a decade and some change, right?
Yeah,
So he was just doing it by himself. So he's talking to two comedians. One looks like a good fellow, and it doesn't matter. So he's talking to two comedians. He's talking about the movie Planet of the Apes coming out.
Yeah.
Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz, yeah, Joey
So
Diaz.
if anyone knows Joey Diaz, you understand.
And you watch that clip, Joey's like...
Joey's not laughing. This other guy laughs. But so Joe's talking about he's recounting a story of taking an Uber to go see the movie Planet of the Apes, and he's going to, I think he's in New Jersey somewhere, and he's going into a neighborhood that's predominantly African American or so, right? So then he goes, dude, I walk into this place and it's like I was in Planet of the Apes, and so basically he's alluding to the fact that there's a lot of black people in there, right?
But in the worst way.
But in the worst way, and so and then he caught himself too and said on his podcast, like, now that I hear it, it's racist. He's saying it in real time, right? Yeah. So the only thing about so I'm just gonna say this. So him saying, and we're not even gonna talk about him. We're really gonna talk about like this backlash that's happening right now.
Right. Okay.
Right. And I want to talk specifically about Spotify. To be honest with you,
I do too. After, yeah, but let's get through this part. Yeah.
So he says that. So him saying that going to see this movie in a place that was predominantly black and saying that he was in Planet of the Apes is a racist statement, right? But do I believe that Joe Rogan himself is a racist? I don't necessarily think so. I don't know the guy, right? I'm just watching who he works with, who he has on his platform, who he gives a voice to, who he interacts with and engages with, right? So, and he knows he's saying this on a podcast, right? That's filmed and it's going out there. So it's not like he's doing it in secret. Is it right? Nah. Is that statement racist? Yeah, the statement itself is racist, and he also says it's racist. Now, in real time, in that video, he says it was like now that I hear that, blah blah. But in his current state, in his apology, he apologized very well for the N-word stuff, blah blah blah. But he's kind of not taking accountability of. He's saying that he didn't call black people referred to black people as apes in that statement, which is crazy because we can see it
and he says
and hear it, and he says
it's racist.
So that's what's bizarre.
Yeah,
like, dude, you had a great apology for giving context about the N-word and you whatever, but you're not taking ownership of something that's the one part that is racist.
Yeah,
like what you said, saying the N-word in context is not right. It's wrong for a person of privilege and blah blah in a platform, but to not acknowledge, even though you did in the video, that saying I was in Planet of the Apes in reference to a lot of black people being there, saying that that's not racist now, it's problematic.
Yeah,
and he fucked that up bad.
Yeah, he's just like, no, I didn't mean that, or that's not what it was, and it's 100% what it was, and in real time he said it was. So that all aside, that's all like weird and I mean terrible. And again, I've listened to a lot of comics who know him personally, and they're all like, he isn't racist. He gives opportunity to tons of people of all colors, all genders, etc.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't change the fact that when you say fucked up things, they're still fucked up to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never said something racist. I can actually honestly say that. We can go back and look at the footage, from all the stuff I've been on.
I would never make that bet.
Oh, really?
Because then you're just asking for it.
Whatever, they could. I mean, yeah. But the point is, even if I, for some reason I did, or it was like someone else thought of it that way, then I would be like, yeah, that was a fucked up thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. And I would never be like, what you're saying with his apology wasn't even an apology. It was like, it just didn't sound
The first
true.
part of it was an apology, the backtracking on the N-word, but him somehow saying that he wasn't referring to black people as apes in that statement is a blatant lie, because he literally is saying it, and he's like, there's no other connotation or comprehension of that statement, and he admits it in that video. And by the way, I just now saw it for the first time yesterday on the Trevor Noah Daily Show rendition of it. Before that, I didn't even bother to look into it, because to be honest with you, I didn't care. And the reason I didn't care is because it's Black History Month, right? And all of a sudden they're race baiting again, right? They're piling on to the Joni Mitchell, Neil Young. Oh, yeah. I'm getting off of Spotify. India Ree, who released the N-word stuff, I want to get off of Spotify. So because they just want to add on and pile on, this now becomes Joe Rogan's a racist, right? Joe Rogan's giving misinformation. So they're piling on, right? And so for me, I find it very disingenuous in the sense that now they got people talking about this guy being a racist versus the real issue at hand, which they're really concerned about him and his misinformation, right? So now he's got two things against him. But here's the thing, and we can come back to this.
Yeah.
When Spotify cut the deal with him, right, you know for a fact that they had to go through basically his anthology of content to make sure that this is a sound investment and also to do a cost analysis, risk analysis.
Yeah, due diligence.
Right? So they knew, my belief is they knew that this was out there, but the opportunity to move into the podcast space and accelerate their presence in it, the reward was greater for them to make this $100 million risk because they were ready for this. I guarantee you, Daniel Ek, the CEO, who looks just like Joe, white guy, bald hair. I mean, it's like for them to sign him on and guarantee $100 million, they knew that this was going to come up. So right now, I call this a campaign, and they're using race to make the case against Rogan again. And so for me, I'm offended by the disingenuous, racial baiting that's happening. And then now it's got people, talking about race against each other again. And it's like now we're taking sides about Joe Rogan, a UFC analyst / sometimes comedian / podcaster. Like this man's word is so important, right? To your point about like, what's your attitude towards Rogan? You're like, I could give or take, right? You don't watch him. You don't listen to him, right?
No, not anymore.
Yeah, I just discovered him, I think, last year, and I listened to it for about a couple months, and I thought it was interesting to guess. I learned about Brian Greene. I learned about a lot of different guests through it. You know what I mean? So I got something out of it, but I don't watch it anymore or listen to it anymore because I have other stuff that's more interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I think. And I don't think this is like I don't think Spotify didn't know about this.
Well, let me say a couple of things in kind of agree and disagree because, like, for one thing, as someone who makes content, it's like almost impossible. No, it's impossible to go through everything like that someone's made.
You don't think $1 billion company like
I don't think so.
Doesn't have an algorithm to run through?
Well, for words, yeah, you're right. So okay, they might have been. So
you think that you think that India Ari has better
she had, better
equipment than Spotify?
I'm just saying that they might have spotted some stuff. Dude,
there was 43 different incidences that she put together in a reel over 12 years. So you're telling me that Spotify has less advanced technology to go through content than India Ari did?
No. I'm not
arguing with you. I'm just saying think about that for a second. She found it.
Yeah.
You don't think they knew about it?
They could find it. I just saying,
you don't think they already had it?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I want to
What's your guess? Honestly, if you had to take a guess.
Well, my point is this: as someone who makes content and other people, obviously other platforms that host it, like YouTube, for example, or TikTok, there's no way they can go through everything. They have algorithms. They have things that kind of look for keywords, right? But for context or what this is about, obviously the N-word is a big one, right? So they must have had that flagged.
For sure.
So I agree with you on that.
For sure. And they would
But everything else, there's just so much content to go through. I don't know if they do that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that's probably one of the most egregious things that they overlooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're on the hook. They're talking about Rogan. Let's talk about Spotify.
I agree with that.
Spotify knew that was out there. And if they have his anthology, people can access it. Right? So you need to know what you're putting out there, and you can't be like, "Oh, we didn't know." I'm like, "You $100 million says you do."
Let me pivot to this discussion then, because this is kind of what this is really about, which is what I kind of alluded to earlier. Is, and we will not be able to answer it or even get into it really fully here today. But how far back do you go in someone's career when you see, to find bad stuff, basically, and when you do find it. Whatever it is, again, it's so weird because we know this because we grew up in a different time, on TV and movies and stuff.
On a farm.
On a farm, we're really old and had to walk up the hill both ways. Okay. But the point is, in the 80s and stuff like that, Richard Pryor used Nutella on his album.
Yeah.
As the name of the album. So if you're anybody, went into the store and buy it, if you didn't, like, it'd be weird, I guess, if you said it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the point is, as we jump back in time, it's a little weird. The what's right and what's wrong gets murky.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's like guttural. Like I can tell like when something makes you feel uncomfortable. I think we all can as humans.
Yeah.
But that's the weird part of this is like, again, putting Joe Rogan aside, it's happened so much recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone essentially is canceled forever.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't even know where I land on it, but I just think that's a slippery slope. And it's a little dangerous when people go back super many, many years and go, hey, you were fucked back then.
Sure.
Because
they only do it in a certain situation, right? They're doing it as a takedown.
You're thinking right now, and you're going back to the timing part of all this, right? With Joe Rogan, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying in general, like it doesn't even have to be Rogan, but whenever like the cancel thing comes out, it happens as a campaign it's a takedown campaign. Right. It's like, because for me, it's always about like, that's been out there, but now it's coming out. It wasn't just discovered. It's never just discovered. That's what bothers me about this whole thing. Not just with Rogan, but in general. Whenever like this stuff comes out, it's always out there.
Well, just going back to my point earlier, because again, I tried to make this point and I failed. But because I've made so much stuff, I literally have no idea what I made last week.
Yes, I understand.
But that's all I'm saying. And and no algorithm specifically might be looking for my shit, right? Mm-hmm. So there are other people out there that all of a sudden will become popular, like let's say me and you, and then later on people go back in this show and they'll find it, right?
Right.
But I'll be very confident that I'm a positive and awesome person at all times. But that's my point is that like, yes, things are out there, but are they out there and also cataloged? No. That's what I will.
Yeah,
I
won't. I mean, obviously, you're trying to make a point, so I'll just agree with it, so we can move on from.
Well, you have to agree that it is not everything's cataloged. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we're not talking about you or like Joe Schmo. We're talking about fucking Spotify, like a global multi-billion-dollar organization.
But do you think they catalog all the like,
dude,
no agenda and all?
I swear to God, there's no way you bring Joe Rogan onto that platform. His employees were already protesting. And I guarantee you his employees flagged that stuff to them and they still ignored it and they crushed it somehow. And they probably put a fucking gag order, right? Like, hey, right? They probably put a gag order, NDA, some shit where if you want to quit, you can, or we give you a severance, but you want money, you can't say shit. Guarantee it. Yeah. This came from India.Ari, who she's not a hacker, dude.
She's not a computer.
So that's my point. She got it from somebody, or she definitely didn't catalog it, right? Somebody put that together. Yep. And it's out there. And that somebody could have also easily been like from Spotify.
So I'll agree with you on the fact that, Spotify probably knew about this stuff. Yeah. And it is weird
all of a sudden I sound like a conspiracy theorist.
No, you don't. Yeah. No. You're saying like logical information was, information was in the podcast that they could have seen before this all happened. Yeah. Well, let's get off of Joe Rogan for a minute.
Are we done?
No.
That? Okay.
Well, I mean...
With Rogan.
Okay.
Are we near the money shot?
Wait. I thought we're in the money shot.
Oh, I thought this was...
Oh, no, you're right. The money shot's called something else. We're not out of the deep dive.
Oh, we're still in the deep dive.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Because I was going to bring up to the point, which kind of floats around the Joe Rogan. We talked about people's past a little bit and how far you go back. Again, we're not going to make that decision now. Okay. Like how far do you go back and, hold someone accountable. Mm-hmm. But... I think this was kind of like just a general thought I had, and I think we alluded to it, or you did. Like, I don't care about Joe Rogan's opinion, and again, it's funny because he's like a UFC commentator, which I like UFC or whatever.
I just remember the guy from News Radio.
And he's a stand-up obviously, and he's at the comedy store a lot. But I just think that I was just thinking this yesterday. There's so many people of in quotes import, especially in this kind of entertainment focused. Culture that we have right now, and we've always had probably since like after World War II or something, when people could actually like care about entertainment. Sure. Because before that they were like worried about food and not dying.
Yeah. Yes.
It's kind of true, right? Like the 1950s and like, oh, now it's entertainment. And like, by the way, before this, young people don't know this, but at some point, is my camera still going?
Yeah, you're just pointing at me for.
No, I was just pointing in the general direction.
I'm like, what's going on? What am I supposed to look at?
Some people don't know this, but like before, like the 50s and stuff, back in the day, kids were like just workers. Like there was a time where, I read up on this. But there was a time where they weren't even considered kids.
Yeah.
And they were just like more workers.
Yeah, we need to bring those times back.
Oh, you said it. Hate mail goes to Carlos Hattix.
Bring back child labor, unlimited child labor.
Are you saying this on a podcast?
I mean,
this is the thing that's going to get cataloged by Spotify.
Yeah, I'll stand behind it, though.
By the way, we're on Spotify.
Yeah, we're going to have robots anyway. So.
Do you know that?
What?
This is on Spotify.
Good. I hope it's flagged. Jeez.
No, not flagged.
No,
that means it won't go up.
See? They're trying to silence us just like they're trying to silence Rogan.
They don't care about our podcast right now. I don't think so.
They don't want us on, Julian.
So,
is that still on?
It is still on.
All right, cool.
So here's the thing. Yeah, entertainment focus. Going back to entertainment focus culture. I just think there's way too much importance on fame and celebrity.
Okay.
I don't know when that started. Again, we don't have to pinpoint the date.
1920s.
Obviously, yeah, Marilyn Monroe, and even before that, like there were huge Greta Garbo. That's right.
Greta Garbo.
Mm-hmm. Clark Gable, all that stuff, right? There were movie stars and famous people, but I think now, especially with the internet and just the proliferation of like how everybody gets so much content all day, every day.
Yeah.
I just think there's too much importance placed on it, and this is the byproduct. Hold on, Joe Rogan, all this stuff we're talking about is the byproduct of us focusing on characters for way too much of our day.
Yeah, and it's not even that's not even an interesting topic.
But so you agree with that? It's almost like a general statement, right?
Yeah, it's a general statement. It's obvious. We have and everyone wants to be a celebrity, right? Everyone wants to be, they focus on this stuff, right? And the thing is, if you want to go conspiracy theory, sorry, it's just creating another distraction from us to not think about what's really happening in the world, right? Meaning,
but we need that sometimes. So I'm not saying it's bad. Entertainment, we need it.
Okay, I'm talking about these controversies.
The controversy
about a celebrity who said, "Who gives a
Who gives a fuck?" Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Like, dude, there was a fucking hurricane tornado that wiped. It's like we have like underground eruptions going on right now. The polar ice caps melting. You know what I mean? And we're probably gonna run out of hummus.
I hope that doesn't happen. The distribution stuff is real, by the way. People need to understand how
have you been to
a
freaking like drugstore or whatever, and you're like, why are these shelves empty? I went to Whole Foods like 3 weeks ago, and I went to the juice section where the milk was. Everything, like the shelves, and this lady's like, I go, see? I started talking to this lady, like, see? The supply chain is so fragile. We're gonna start eating each other one day. She started.
Did you say that?
I did to the lady. She started laughing and walked off clearly, but
she's like, ha ha ha, funny. Yeah, I'm leaving now.
But he's also serious.
He's also cannibal.
So, yeah, man, gotta learn how to farm.
I mean, I want to, but I don't have the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet you
I
find
live
the
in
land.
A metropolitan area.
Okay.
Can't speak today.
English is.
You're doing it to me.
Good. Yeah, I mean.
By the way, real quick, going back to what you just said, because it was a pretty dismissive statement, and that's okay.
By me?
Yes.
By design.
Okay, but you said it's not even a topic, because it clearly is a topic, and you said it's not a exciting or interesting topic.
You're trying to incept this.
No, I'm not incepting. Listen. So it's, sorry, I don't know why. I'm pointing a lot today. Excuse me, will you please listen to my statement? It's this. It's that it is, I think, a very unique and interesting thing that no one talks about. Which is how, I guess, is the real question.
Yeah.
Do we take that importance away?
Right.
While still allowing people to make a living? Like, I'm an entertainer, you create content. Like, we still want to make money from our creations, but I just don't want that importance to be placed on people's names, because it's so fucking dumb, and it is waste of time, like you said. Sure. And again, taking away the conspiracy theory part of it, it's just this kind of human construct that we made that it's giving us ulcers, it's giving, making us angry or upset. It's divisive. So again, if you mention any name, say Louis C.K., say Bill Maher, Kanye West, although put an asterisk in Kanye West.
I love Kanye.
Put an asterisk in Kanye West. You have the notes.
I'm right there. Kanye West.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's the question, is how do we pull that back so that's not that important?
It's not going to happen, bro.
Oh, I want to do it.
I mean,
I want to
you
do
can't
it
pull
tonight.
You can't pull it back. Like people are.
Do you think it's impossible then? Really, that's my question.
The way you do it is like make publishing unless you're a legit news agency, make it illegal for ordinary Joes to publish like content or news article that is about XYZ unless they are a journalist. And that's, I think, the problem is people are...
I mean, that's scary because that's censorship, but yes.
Yeah. But it's also it's censorship, but also at the same time, the dissemination of information at the level as is right now, is part of the issue here, right?
Is part of the issue.
Everyone thinks they're a journalist, but they're not saying anything.
I'm so glad you bring that up because continue your thought. And
I mean, this is literally what people are doing is whenever you post something, that's publishing. You publish something. You publish content. You made a statement, right? When you're sharing something and you write blah, 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 you're making a statement. You're publishing, you're reporting something. You're giving an opinion piece, right? Now, whether you have 800 followers or you have, 20 million followers, right? Someone's watching it and they're going to engage with it. They might give you hate, they might give you whatever, but you're creating something. You're creating these conversations, and some people abuse it, right? And they do it for entertainment value and for likes, and so they stay provocative so they can continue, and they don't even give a shit.
Controversial.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even give a shit about whatever. They just want to make sure they're feeding their audience what their audience wants. People are coming to your account on IG for confirmation bias and confirmation bias primarily. Not only, but primarily. I follow the typical liberal, a real right-wing IG account because everything on there is anti-Biden, right? And I follow it because I see friends that follow it and are liking certain things, and I follow it because I want to see what the right wing is looking at. I'm not a liberal. I'm not whatever. I consider myself more moderate, right? So pragmatic. I have common sense, right? Mm-hmm. I think most people do, but everyone wants to be left or right, and it's almost like the Crips and the Bloods. It's so dumb, right? So that's what dumb. So my point is, when you're publishing stuff, you're going to these accounts for confirmation bias or for entertainment. You're not going for legitimate news, is my opinion. Some people, though, of different, comprehension skills or critical thinking skills will take some of this stuff and they will take it as facts.
Right. Instead of parsing it out and doing their own research.
Yeah, and that's where the danger is, right? So not because people are publishing stuff they'll take a snippet. You'll see on the typical liberal, he'll take a image of trucks and then they'll just create a story around it. And I'm like, how do I even know that's what that is? Right? And then everyone's comments that sucks. That's sorry. F Biden. I'm like, bro, this guy just posted a picture of trucks and blah, blah, blah.
And then the comments become part of that campaign, like you were saying earlier. To that point, though, and I was going to bring this up, and it was on my notes, so I'm glad you brought this up, is I think not the censorship part, but I think there needs to be more accountability, and that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
Because we have all these platforms. Everybody has, in quotes, platforms, which are just different, like Twitter, et cetera, Instagram. Right. And like you said, people can take something very simple and make it a huge deal.
Right.
But without the accountability, I grew up, by the way, I have a journalism degree.
Yeah.
And we learned about objectivity and actual news reporting.
Yeah.
And we had the AP style guide, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But there was actually ways to do it, and there was ways to tell stories and ways to do the factual checking and stuff. So because there is so many platforms out there right now, and anyone can do it, like you said, the Joe Schmoes of the world, it's just there is no accountability. So I think that's the real kind of question. We're running out low on time. We have to hit the ending here.
Yeah, you said something I just wanted to add on to what you were saying. Accountability. IG account. Next
It's
week.
gone. It fell into the ether. So in our closing thoughts,
Sure.
I had one. It's pretty epic. I don't know if we have time for it.
Is this the rapid round or the?
This is the.
I just make stuff up.
We're just gonna call it the closing thoughts. I don't know. Do you have a closing thought?
I usually go off of what you say.
Okay, good. Let me do what I was gonna say, which was, and then very, very last second, we'll talk about Kanye maybe for a second in the outro. We're way over time. Okay. So I was just thinking the other day, and I think I texted you this. Our life is short, even though if you don't think it is, it really is. And I'm just trying to think of ways to kind of take all the stuff that we do in life and quantify it, because as we go through life, each day goes by so fast, and all of a sudden we did 1 million things in one day, and then it's just gone. And we always live in the present, which is great. And you should try to live in the present. That's really helpful. But at the same time, all the kind of interesting things I did today are gone tomorrow. And yes, some of it lives on social media. Some of it lives, bits and pieces all over the place.
Yeah.
But I know there's apps that have kind of done this before and tried to. I just want to see if there's another way we can do this as a culture, society, to I don't know, somehow package up all what we're doing on this planet and keep it somehow. I don't know, here's what Carlos did with his life. Here's what other Carlos did with his life. And then also maybe even in my older age, go back and look at it. Not just have to find all the pictures on all my different social media platforms, but just one little thing. And also if that thing, whatever this is, closing idea, closing thought, could also be gamified in some way, right? And kind of make me feel good about what the fuck I'm doing. Because I think we finish our day, every human finishes their day, and we go what the fuck was that?
Sure.
Did I do anything today?
Sure.
Am I better? Am I worse?
Sure.
And I feel like because we're visual creatures, if we had this thing, this nebulous thing that could categorize it and make us feel better about it. Am I crazy for thinking that should exist?
So, are you done?
Yes.
Yeah. So time is a human construct, right? Life isn't short, right? And
life isn't short.
Life is not short. Time is a human construct. Life isn't short. Life is what it is. What we do on this whatever that we're on, it is what it is, right? And I hate that phrase, but honestly, life isn't short. Time is a human construct. So when you say, and life isn't supposed to be this easy, right? We just somehow evolved to just create these things where we can exist in nature in a certain way. We can live in the desert. We can live in all these different places, right? You see concrete buildings coming out of land, and if you just go from a Hawaii or you go someplace where it's like Iceland, and then you come back, you go, this is not organic. This is not what it's supposed to look like. And we created this shit. You live along the water, you're going to get washed the fuck out. That's on you, right? You live up on the hill, you're going to get washed the fuck down. That's on you. Why do you think you can do that, right? You're living on a fault line and it's going to fucking, that's on you. You're living in the forest, in the dry, it's going to burn up. That's on you, right?
Okay.
So my point is, it doesn't matter what we do. And it doesn't matter if you do it in the time frame that you have, right? People like Bezos, Musk, and all them, they think life is short because they have so much money to do so many more things, and they feel like they're going to run out of time, right? Not everyone feels that way. I think we were kind of talking about this a little bit. Those guys, life is definitely short for them because they want to do so much more. But for other people, we're just kind of here, right? And then you do these things and you think it matters, but guess what? It doesn't fucking really matter. So people are sitting here talking about Rogan like it matters, right? Day to day, does that affect your life?
By the way, let me asterisk that. I don't think he's part of what I'm trying to say.
No, he's not.
He doesn't matter
It's another example of this whole thing, purpose and blah blah blah, right? So we've worked for 20 years now. We're gonna do the same shit for another 20 years. When I talk to people, when I career coach them, they're like, I don't want to. I'm like, exactly. So what are you gonna do, right? You're gonna keep doing the same shit, or you're gonna do something different. So for me, I started doing stand-up comedy. I started doing improv. I'm doing this podcast with you. I still work, but my whole thing is and I have the potential to do so much more. But in my brain, I go, what for? Right? I make money. I take care of my family. I'll do all that stuff, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about purpose.
Yeah, purpose and stuff like that. So I'm like, so I know what I can do. And now the older I get, I go, none of that matters. When I was a kid, I used to admire, all these celebrities like Michael Jackson. I used to think Michael Jackson was a deity that didn't use the bathroom. It was crazy.
Back to my other point,
right? So, but this celebrity worship stuff. It's almost like we're always looking to the sky for answers since the beginning of time, right? And so you look to literally the stars, and then these metaphorical stars. I think COVID allowed us to realize how idiotic these fucking celebrities really are.
But it doesn't change anything.
Nice. That would be the closer.
Whoa.
That's great.
It's kind of true.
That was good. Close on that.
I will, but I want to ask you one thing because we're done. But
how are your time management skills, just in general?
Maybe not great because we're over time. I don't know. I don't think I fully got to my thing, and we'll get to the next episode. But I do think there's more. There's more to the fact that I don't even mean the celebrities when I mentioned my thing earlier, because Joe Schmo is doing like their job at the
I know what you're talking about.
store and stuff like that. Yeah.
I know what you're talking
like
about.
That quantification.
Yeah.
You're right in the fact that we are lucky in this particular time period where we're not just like hunting animals and we can like be like, wow, I wish I knew what I did last week.
But we're supposed to be in that raw organic state. We're not supposed to be wearing all these clothes and drinking out of plastics. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to do any of that stuff, right?
No, I know. I
Life
hear
is
you.
supposed to be fucking difficult as fuck, and we just somehow like
we're in a
Somebody took shrooms, learned how to talk, learned how to think, and started building shit.
That's how it all started. It was shrooms.
It was definitely shrooms.
Carlos, thanks for being here. We'll
Always
have you back next week, and we'll just do this again.
Love it, man.
All
Congratulations again. Cheers.
What are you congratulating me on? Oh, I have a job. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Are you going to show up? I have a job.
Virtual.
Oh, I have a job.
Well, I know that's what you're congratulating me for. And by the way, what's your handle? Quick.
It's Hattix73 on IG. And then in the future, it's going to be Haha Hattix, HAHA_Hattix. But go ahead.
That's it. ONAWA on Twitter. And
are you going to put that thing?
Carlos Rodella on TikTok?
Yeah.
I don't know. We're done. Bye.
Bye.